Greetings folks, Eeler here. Today I've got a match that's set on fault line in some beautiful fall colors, which is suitable for those of us in the northern hemisphere as we head deep into fall. This match is courtesy of Lynn Wilkie, who is sailing in the premium Tier 5 Soviet destroyer, the Gremyashchy, and Lynn is in a division with Green Weenie, who is in the Tier 5 German destroyer, the T-22. They are in a Tier 7 domination match, as I mentioned on fault line, and there is one Tier 6 aircraft carrier per team. Lynn brings the Soviet unique commander Viktor Znamensky from his Khabarovsk to the Gremyashchy. One of the buff skills is a buffed expert marksman, which definitely is useful here because one of the few weaknesses that the Gremyashchy has is its very slow traverse. I think it's 36 seconds for 180 degrees. So having any improvement on the turret traverse is a welcome addition. Now, one of the strengths of the Gremyashchy, in addition to just being a traditional gunboat destroyer, is that it has 8-kilometer torpedoes, and Lynn has sent torpedoes in the direction of the opposing Akatsuki that has moved into the Alpha Cap. Lynn is getting some attention here from the opposing Nuremberg that is south of the cap, and Lynn is going to need to try to peel away here for a little bit. But his torpedoes are looking pretty good based on where that gunfire is coming from in the smoke. And he is indeed going to land a torpedo and take out the opposing Akatsuki, claiming first blood and getting a devastating strike. So a very auspicious start to this match. In fact, there are some of the torpedoes from the Akatsuki. And Lynn has taken some damage here from the opposing Nuremberg. Lynn is going to look to get back to Alpha and try to get into a little more cover. He takes some more chip damage, but here comes another salvo from Nuremberg, and just like that, Lynn's down to just a little over half health. Lynn is going to send some more torpedoes into the smoke in anticipation that the Nuremberg might try to move into that, although I don't think he does. Now, a comment regarding the title of this video, Harassed, Harasser. The Soviet gunboats are generally seen as harassing type of ships. They operate near their maximum gun range, using constant fire to harass their enemies, set fires, do damage, and so on. But Lynn is, in addition to being a harasser, Lynn is going to be regularly harassed by the opposing carrier. He did come under some spotting earlier in the match. I don't remember exactly when he will next see the carrier, but the carrier will be a regular presence in the game and be a regular focus for Lynn. So Lynn is going to drop into some smoke here finally as the opposing Nuremberg has decided to just camp behind the island. That was actually a good position to be able to ambush Lynn in case Lynn poked out. And so Lynn's going to get into some smoke, get into some concealment, and put some fire on these opposing ships. Now, one of the other skills that Lynn has on this ship is IFHE. Now, IFHE for the on the upper tier Soviet destroyers with 130 millimeter guns allows them to penetrate the hull surfaces and bows and sterns of upper tier cruisers. But down here at tier 5, the benefit of IFHE isn't really so much for the cruisers, because most of the cruisers have hull surfaces that are around 16 or 19 millimeters. Where this is very useful is actually against battleships, because mid-tier battleships have 25 millimeter bows and sterns, and the 130 millimeter rifles with IFHE are able to penetrate that. So this can be a useful skill for getting alpha damage on opponents at mid-tier as well. Now, Lynn does get another torpedo strike. He gets one torpedo on the opposing hood with some flooding. I'm sure he's looking to try to get a fire set on the hood. In fact, you can see right here how Lynn is having trouble trying to keep all of his guns on the hood as he's turning. The turret traverse is very slow, even with this buffed expert marksman skill. But as I mentioned, he is looking to try to get a fire going on the hood, since he did set a fire and the hood used damage con. Now, looking at the tactical situation, the Allied team, in fact, there's the fire, and it looks like we now have one of the opposing destroyers, the Mutsuki, Lin's going to help focus that ship out, although the Mutsuki did get a torpedo spread off towards the Sinop, and it also looks like Green Weenie is at risk of potentially taking a torpedo, which it is able to avoid. So that's good. So coming back to the tactical situation, as the team is here at Alpha is looking to take down the opposing Nuremberg, the Allied team has obviously a very clear handle on Alpha. They have a couple of Allied ships that are north of Bravo. The opposing team has not made any attempts, nor the Allied team, to contest Bravo at this point. On the other side of the map at Charlie, the opposing team looks like they have the stronger presence there. They have the cap, and they look like they're probably have a slightly stronger presence. The looks like the opposing or the Allied Sinop has been sunk by torpedoes from the Nuremberg, and in fact the Allied team has lost 2 other ships in addition. So the ship counts are even. The opposing team has lost all of its destroyers. Lynn can see the low health hood here very briefly, and I think he wants to try to get a shot in before he slips behind this island, moves over towards Bravo. But right now, and yeah, in fact, you can see the hood doesn't have his guns directed at Lynn, so it's safe to fire here. A couple of fires set on the hood. I don't know if those are going to stick for good and take the ship down. But between Green Weenie and the T-22 and the Allied, I believe that's a Bayern that's at Alpha, they should be able to finish off the hood. Now, Lynn is now coming under aerial attack. This is going to be the first of several attacks that Lynn is going to be subject to during this game, as he is moving towards Bravo to look to try to get that cap. Now, the Allied team is behind in points. I suspect part of that is because the Allied team has lost more capital ships, so cruisers and battleships, compared to the opposing team. And battleships and cruisers generally are a greater loss of points for the Allied team when they go down. So the opposing team does have a minor point lead here, even though they're even on the caps. And like I said, Lynn is making an effort here to try to get over Bravo. The opposing hood does go down, so now the Allied team does have well, in fact, they're still behind, excuse me, even though they have a ship advantage. And as I mentioned, Lynn is working his way over here to Bravo. Now, I get the sense that the opposing carrier, when I watch this replay, has a pretty good idea as to which targets he should be focusing. Lynn is unchallenged at this point, trying to go for Bravo, and the opposing carrier, realizing that Lynn is kind of here on his own, makes him an ideal choice in 2 ways. Well, first off, he doesn't have much in the way of AA support other than his own AA, and secondly, he wants to be able to defend this cap from being taken, or the carrier does. Now, the carrier does make a blind drop here of the bombers, but it looked like he missed. And so it looks like Lynn is going to be able to get this cap more or less for free at this point, and just tries to get some gunfire in on the opposing New Mexico. Now, the Allied team has now just lost another ship, so they're now looking at a 1-ship deficit, and they are almost 200 points behind. Although, as I mentioned, Lynn is going to get this cap here quite shortly, and that will give the Allied team an extra cap that will be useful. Now, again, looking at the tactical situation, the opposing team very strong in the east. The Allied team is a little more spread out, but they're more on the west side. Lynn does, as I mentioned, is able to capture the cap, and he's now trying to help take down this low health Omaha, because the other thing we want to do is get ships down as quickly as possible. And it looks like the Omaha is taking a little more chip damage. Lynn's sending torpedoes out here. Now, normally this would be kind of dangerous thing to do because he has that Allied Sinop to his port side. However, it looked like the Allied Sinop was actually backing up. So Lynn was able to presumably send those pretty safely. The Allied New Mexico goes down. So now they have a 2-ship deficit. Even though they hold 2 caps, they are quite seriously behind in points. And Lin is looking to get some concealed fire here on the opposing Pyotr Veliki. You can see Green Weenie, Lin's division mate here, that's moving into the Bravo cap as well. And we also see more bombers coming in. So Lin is going to come under attack again. Lin does get a couple of torpedoes, including one with flooding on the New Mexico. Lin's going to creep forward here and get into smoke so that he tries to avoid taking more damage from the carrier. He is able to shoot down another plane. That's going to be, I think, the 5th of 12 planes he's going to shoot down this game, which is quite a few for a Tier 5 destroyer. And so their main, it looks like what Lin and Green Weenie are just trying to do here, one is survive and not get taken out by the opposing carrier, but also be able to maintain some center map control. Now, the team has been able to reduce it to a one-ship deficit. We see a low health New Mexico here on the north side of Bravo. So Lin, Green Weenie, and the Sinop are able to put some focus fire on the New Mexico, even up the ship count. And now the points are much closer. They're still technically behind, but since the Allied team has 2 caps, they will catch up to the opposing team, provided no other ships are lost on the Allied team within the next minute. Lin's going to move back out here. I think he was hoping that in fact, he's anticipating the Pyotr Veliki is going to move forward here, send some torpedoes out in that direction. So the best thing to do for the Allied team at this point is basically defend at Bravo. Again, here Lin is coming under rocket attack again from the opposing carrier. This carrier's, I think, doing a good job focusing on the important targets to get Lin out of the way, the destroyers. And again, here's that low health Omaha. I'm not sure how he wasn't sunk earlier. Lin is able to use his own smoke, get some fire on the Omaha. Now, Green Weenie, unfortunately, is detected here by the opposing aircraft carrier or the planes, and is taken out by the opposing ships. So we've now lost Green Weenie, and the Allied team is back down to a 2-ship deficit. Lin is gets another torpedo, this time on the Pyotr Veliki. Lin's looking to try to get the Omaha down. That was just one hit on the Omaha. The Omaha makes a nice blind fire on Lin's smoke, and Lin is able to take down the Omaha. So now they've brought it back to a 1-ship deficit. So looking at what ships the Allied team has, they've lost their aircraft carrier. I don't exactly remember when that was, but right now we're dealing with one, obviously Lin in the destroyer, and then 2 Allied battleships, the Sinop and the Bayern. Now, I can't see what health the Bayern has at this point. In fact, you can see some salvo going out from the Nagato against the Bayern. Bayern's clearly broadside to the Nagato. Lin's smoke is about to expire here. Now, Lin's biggest risk, again, I think at this point is the aircraft carrier. Lin is surface detected. He's a little too close to the opposing battleships. Lin's going to peel off here, and that Pyotr Veliki looks like a very tempting target given his relatively low health. Lin's going to peel away from the 2 healthier battleships that are starting to push to the cap. I think Lin wants to try to get some chip damage in here and try to get the Pyotr Veliki down, because the Pyotr Veliki took some more damage here, and he's just down to a few, or it looks like less than 2,000 hit points. Now we lost sight on that ship. Now, one thing I should also point out is it's not uncommon, in my experience, that destroyers in games like this will try to go carrier hunting. And in my opinion, that's absolutely the wrong thing to do, because it takes focus away from the objective. Oh, nice shot. So the Sinop was able to take down the Nagato. So now we're even on the ships again, and the Allied team has a lead. So they finally have brought this back so that they have a lead. Here comes the aircraft again. Lin knows that he's relatively low health, and he's very vulnerable to the carrier if the carrier keeps the pressure up. And, and in fact, he just took some more significant damage. Lin wants to try to get... there's the Pyotr Veliki. He's very low health. Be very good to get him out of the battle if at all possible. Lynn does have his last smoke available to him. This is also a reflection of Lynn's build. He has this superintendent skill, which gives him an extra charge on the consumables. And in my opinion, that is a very important skill to have as a destroyer. Really being able to support late game activities is very important. And so having that extra charge of smoke, speed boost, hydro, or other consumables is very, very useful. Now, Lynn did take some more chip damage from the carrier. He was set on fire. His damage control has come off cooldown, and Lynn does use it to put out the fire. Right now, the Allied team has a slim lead, even though they lost the Bayern. They have a one-ship deficit, but because they hold 2 caps, they've now been able to get into a lead with that deficit. There is the Confederate award, or the achievement, I should say, and the opposing Piotr Veliki has come into Lynn's range. So Lynn is very eager to get this Piotr Veliki down. So as I mentioned earlier about carrier hunting, going carrier hunting tends to take people off the objective. And especially in situations where teams either really need the destroyer to stay concentrated on the objective or to not lose sight of the objective, going carrier hunting can be very controversial. So Lynn was able to sink the Piotr Veliki, and now they have just the New Mexico and the aircraft carrier to deal with. However, the only thing they have to do at this point is sink the New Mexico. So long as they get the New Mexico down, even if Lynn gets taken out, they will win this game because the Allied team has the 2 caps, and once the New Mexico goes down, the Bravo cap will no longer be contested, and the carrier simply won't have time to sink both Lynn and the Sinop. Now, Lynn just avoided a bomb drop from the carrier, but he's going to try to sail away here. Looks like the New Mexico has turned his guns onto Lynn. And Lynn is about to run into the island and curve away. Here comes some shellites. He takes 1 overpen and he gets the high caliber award or achievement. And there goes the New Mexico. This game is won. So Lynn just needs to sail away. Even if the carrier comes back to get him, which he will, to sink Lynn, this game is won. And very nicely done, Lynn, and great support from the Sinop as well. In fact, you're going to see lots of comments in chat now. Congratulations on both sides for a game well played, and definitely observed here. So I hope you enjoyed the replay and the commentary. I'm going to leave the match to finish out so long as Lynn stays in the game. The carrier is going to come to get him, but like I said, it's not going to matter at this point. This game is won, and I'll leave the results up for you to enjoy as well or take a look at. And with that, please do leave your comments below. And as always, we hope to see you out there, and we wish you happy sailing.